3 American soldiers are dead. 9 straight nights of bombing. And tonight, the war between the United States and Iran just got a whole lot more dangerous. I'm going to break down exactly what happened, why it happened, and where this is heading next. Because this story is moving fast, and most people have no idea how close this is getting to spiraling out of control. Let's start with the names, because they matter. First Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan, 25 years old. From Ava Beach, Hawaii. Private Isabella Gonzalez, just 19 years old. From Carrollton, Texas. Both killed in action last Friday during an Iranian missile and drone attack on Muwaffaq Salti Air Base in Jordan. A third American service member was killed the very next day in northern Iraq during a controlled detonation of an unexploded Iranian drone. 3 deaths, 2 days. And that number, 3, has now pushed the total American death toll since this war began back in February to an estimated 17. So how did we even get here? Rewind to February 28th. The U.S. and Israel launched coordinated strikes against Iran, killing Iran's supreme leader in the process. Since then, this war has never really stopped. It's just changed shape. Peace talks were actually on the table. There was a proposed agreement over control of the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical oil shipping routes on the planet. But those talks collapsed. And when diplomacy fails in a war this volatile, missiles start flying again. Which brings us to Monday. President Trump stood on the tarmac at Joint Base Andrews and told reporters directly, Iran will pay for this. He called the fallen soldiers great patriots. And hours later, the Pentagon confirmed the U.S. had launched its 9th consecutive night of strikes against Iranian targets, reportedly hitting military command centers. Now here's where it gets even more serious. This isn't just about retaliation anymore. U.S. officials confirm the military is increasing the number of fighter jets across the Middle East. Israeli sources say dozens of American fuel tankers have arrived and more are on the way. That's not the posture of a country looking to de-escalate. That's the posture of a country preparing for a longer fight. And it's not just Iran and the U.S. trading blows in isolation. Kuwait intercepted what it called hostile targets. Sirens sounded across Bahrain. Jordan says it shot down incoming Iranian missiles. This war is no longer contained. It's pulling in the entire region, one country at a time. The Pentagon also revealed something that hasn't gotten nearly enough attention. Nearly 100 U.S. service members have suffered injuries since just July 7th alone. Most are described as minor. But CNN has reported the military has been slow, some say deliberately slow, to disclose the full scope of these injuries to the public. On Wednesday, 4 fallen service members will be brought home to Dover Air Force Base in a dignified transfer. It was actually supposed to happen Tuesday, but the White House delayed it. No official reason was given for the delay, and that alone has raised eyebrows among reporters covering this story closely. Now, not everyone in Washington agrees with this approach. Democratic lawmakers are now openly demanding an end to renewed hostilities, arguing that American lives are being lost in a war that has no clear exit strategy. Meanwhile, the Trump administration insists these strikes are necessary retaliation and a message of strength. So here's the real question. Does this strategy actually work? If we look at history, this kind of retaliatory bombing campaign can go one of 2 ways. Best case, it forces Iran back to the negotiating table faster, because the cost of continued conflict becomes too high for them to sustain. Worst case, it triggers X. Worst case, it triggers exactly the opposite. Iran digs in. Allied militias across the region get more active, and what's already a 20-plus death toll for American forces keeps climbing with no end in sight. And here's what most coverage isn't telling you. This is no longer a contained, surgical operation. Nearly 100 U.S. troops injured in under 2 weeks. Allied forces from Jordan to Kuwait now actively intercepting Iranian missiles, and a president signaling more strikes are coming. This is a regional war that keeps finding new ways to expand. So where does this leave us? 9 nights of strikes. 3 dead soldiers this week alone. A delayed, dignified transfer. More fighter jets heading to the region. And a president who has promised there's more to come. The next 48 hours matter. If Iran responds with another wave of retaliatory strikes, this could escalate even further before Wednesday's memorial ceremony even takes place. If it doesn't, we may be looking at the first real sign that one side is looking for an off-ramp. I'll be tracking this story every single day, because this is one of those moments in history where the decisions made this week could shape the next several years of American foreign policy. If you want to stay ahead of this story before the mainstream networks catch up, hit subscribe, because I'm not stopping until this war has an ending. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.